What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Z Sports and Entertainment. I am Z, coming to you from the basement. Um, got a 2 video day. Feel like I owe y'all that due to all the absences and poor attendance and all of that stuff. Boy, this is the job I be fired. Um, but we're gonna get into it. We're gonna hop right back into the AFC division, AFC conference, and right now we got the AFC South. We're going to talk about the AFC South. Also, something I forgot to mention in the AFC West video. No clips will be playing during the AFC division breakdown videos. Reason being, preseason is over, so I don't want to show anything that's too old. I don't want players, popping up in clips that are no longer on the team or possibly on the practice squad, things of that nature. Um, so we just gonna be informative, knowledge based, and we just gonna talk about it. Um, AFC South. We're gonna pop it off with the Houston Texans. Houston Texans had definitely had an eventful offseason with all of the Deshaun Watson. The positive in the Deshaun Watson situation is you get Deshaun Watson off your team. You get something in return from him from a draft pick perspective, and there's a good chance that you could have your quarterback of the future already on the roster. And if he's not your quarterback of the future, there's a good chance you're going into you're gonna have a top first round pick in next year's draft, and you'll have a chance at the Bryce Youngs, the C.J. Strouds, the Will, whoever's up there. You're gonna have a shot at those guys. So that's the positive in Deshaun Watson. But right now they got Davis Mills, and Davis Mills seems like he could be a guy. He has all the tools, has all the intangibles. Davis Mills, in my opinion, is just one of those guys. Can he get it between the ears? Can he figure it out between the ears and things of that nature? Don't really have too much to say about Davis Mills. I mean, it's one of those things where he's kind of expected to underperform. The Texans aren't really expecting to do much as a team. They are trying to get out of that Deshaun Watson, era and turn the page and start over. They just named Mr. Pierce RB1 in the backfield. Don't really know much about him, but we will learn a lot about him very soon. And I mean, they still got Rex Burkhead. Like I said, not expecting too much from Houston. Just giving a general breakdown of what I think they could possibly be. Brandon Cooks is still on the team at wide receiver. I could definitely see him going over 1,000 yards, maybe 1,300 even, depending on how things go. Texans it's gonna be a long season for Texans fans, just because the quarterback is a question mark. You don't know much about the running back. You got your wide receiver one, but what else do you have to complement him? What else do you have to complement them? I mean, tight end by committee, offensive line is kind of and you don't really have anything on defense. I mean, outside of Derek Stingley Jr., who you drafted 3rd overall, I mean, you don't really have much on this team. I mean, this team is going to be built over time, and is who knows? Lovie Smith could put something together, and they could come out, hit the ground running, and just be that team, that irritant, that team that nobody wants to play. Not really have that superstar caliber player, but just got a bunch of guys who just go get it. I mean, to me, that's best case scenario for this team. I mean, go out week in, week out, give your best effort, learn, grow, gain the experience that you need, because this division isn't necessarily set up of top tier talent and top tier teams, but you got some dogs in this division. I mean, Titans ain't no hoe. Colts definitely ain't no hoe. Jags are gonna be better than they were last year. I mean, Texans got a long way to go. I mean, just point blank period, flat out avoiding the inevitable. Texans got a long way to go. Season predictions for the Texans is 4-13. I do think Davis Mills finished the season as a starting quarterback, but I don't know if I don't know if he's gonna get a third chance. You know, you get your first shot with you get your first shot. I wanna Didn't Tyrod get hurt? Yeah, Tyrod got hurt. Tyrod was a starter going into last year, got hurt. Davis Mills got a shot. They didn't draft a quarterback in this year's draft because they felt he had the intangibles to be the guy. This is shot number 2. He's gonna have for the, if they do go 4-13, he's gonna have to have a hell of a season for him to go into next season as the starting quarterback. Um, but right now it's his job, and who knows what he can do with this opportunity? Because that's all we can ask for is an opportunity. Uh, let's move over to the Tennessee Titans. Texans prediction 4-13. If I didn't say that, 4-13. I got the Texans. Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans is interesting. I mean, last year they had this all-star team. You know, Tannehill, Derrick Henry, Julio, AJ Brown. Now, just a year later, you got Derrick Henry, who's finally back to 100%, coming off that injury. Julio Jones no longer with the team. AJ Brown traded, and Ryan Tannehill. It's looking like if he don't bring his A game, he might not be the starter. Period. I mean, because Malik Willis had a hell of a preseason, and he's applying pressure. And everybody knows the comments that Tannehill made, you know, before training camp and all of those things about, you know, not being a mentor and things like that. But Malik Willis looked like he's here, and he don't look like he's going nowhere. That's the thing about the quarterbacks that were drafted in this year's draft. Not first, second round picks, not necessarily, I guess, top 10 talent, but you got guys who, if you give them time, they could turn into something. I mean, seriously. I mean, Kenny Pickett going 1 sitting behind Mitchell Trubisky. You got Desmond Ridder going in the 3rd round sitting behind Mariota. Malik Willis going 3rd round sitting behind Tannehill. Matt Carroll sitting behind Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. I mean, you got guys who if you give them some time, they could do some things. And Malik Willis could be one of those guys, man. Give him some time to absorb this NFL game, absorb the playbook, absorb the offense. And give him a year and a half, 2 years behind Tannehill to figure it out. And who knows, man? Who knows what this kid could be? Because he showed flashes in the preseason. Running the ball, throwing the ball, making sidearm. I mean, he showed flashes. But we all know the Tennessee Titans are only going to go as far as King Henry takes them. However far Derrick Henry takes them, that's how far they're going to go. He just went 2nd in my fantasy draft. I mean, the Titans is going to go as far as Derrick Henry takes them, period. We know he's 2,000-yard capable. We know he's 20-plus. Derrick Henry is going to be about 70% of that offense. The question is, can you stop it? That's the thing. It may be a little easier to stop because you ain't got A.J. Brown and Julio Jones over the top like that, but when you get in the box and you going up against that 6'4", 250, 260 dude, like you got to stop him. Just period. You got to stop him. If he can stay healthy, I don't see why the Titans aren't competing. At receiver, with them losing Julio and them losing A.J. Brown, they brought in Robert Woods. Robert Woods is coming off a season in the injury last year with the Rams. That was probably the reason they brought in Odell. But having Robert Woods, you know, back in, I mean, he's gonna be wide receiver 1. He's gonna be the guy. I don't know why, but something in my gut is genuinely telling me that Robert Woods is gonna have a hell of a season. I don't know if it's because the wide receiver depth in Tennessee is so shaky. You know, him and the rookie Traylon Burks are probably 1 and 2. I haven't looked at the depth chart, but just going off, you know, whatever. But I see Robert Woods having a good season. Also, they signed Austin Hooper. I could see him having a big bounce back year. Titans are a team that love to utilize their tight ends, and Austin Hooper has a lot of skill. Got good soft hands. He can catch the ball. He can be that blanket for Ryan Tannehill. Excuse me. I hate bugs, y'all. I hate them. But Austin Hooper, I think Austin Hooper could give them some serious production from their tight end position. Um, be like I said, be a blanket for Tannehill. Take some of the pressure off Derrick Henry. Austin Hooper, when he was with the Falcons, was probably one of the best play action targets for Matt Ryan I have ever seen. And I'm talking about putting him up there with Roddy White, Tony Gonzalez. I mean, Austin Hooper was a blanket for Matt Ryan when he was with the Falcons. I truly believe the Browns didn't utilize his talents to the best of his ability. It was also a tight end jam. You had Hunter Bryant. You had David Njoku. I mean, I'm glad he got his money in Cleveland, but he kind of got forgot about a little bit. I think Austin Hooper is going to reemerge in Tennessee, and I'm happy for him. I'm happy for him. They need a full season out of Bud Dupree. You can't pay him that much money and he give you 7, 8 games in a 17-game season. You need Bud Dupree for a whole season. You need Simons to excuse my language, but you need him to fuck the middle up. Like you need him to disrupt. I mean, his name has been floating around as someone who could be in that Aaron Donald type conversation. I mean, everybody. I mean, it don't matter if you watching Mic'd Ups. It don't matter if you top 100s. Simons is or Simmons, whatever his name is. He's developing the stigma and the reputation of being one of the best interior defensive linemen in the game. And if you could have him, Bud Dupree, Harold Landry, you could have those. You could have some good things. It could be good, especially with Kevin Byard on the back end, being a ball hawk, sideline to sideline, chasing down interceptions, covering those top tight ends. They could be good. My question with Tennessee's defense is their corners. Is Fairley gonna live up to his talents? Is like that's my question with Tennessee from the defensive side of the ball is their corners. I think it'll help just due to the lack of receiver depth in the division total. I mean, with the Texans, you got Brandon Cook. After that, not really too much of a threat. I mean, we'll get to Jacksonville, we'll get to the Colts, but it's not much receiver depth in this division, so that may help. I mean, and lastly, how good are they? Like seriously, how good are they? Mike Vrabel to me is starting to turn into one of those coaches who can turn like not much talent into wins. What he was able to do with that team last year with Derrick Henry going out for an extended time, Julio Jones in and out of the lineup, A.J. Brown not being 100% healthy, and Ryan Tannehill being as inconsistent as he was, and that team was the #1 overall seed, it's hard to believe like Mike Vrabel is developing the reputation of being a winner. And when you develop that reputation, when you have that grit, that it factor, when you got that in you, it kind of don't matter. Like, I ain't gonna say it don't matter what your roster looks like, but when you got your core and it looks like they have a core, everything else is gonna fall into place. I got the Tennessee Titans finishing the season at 10-7. 10-7 is what I have them going. Could be better, could be worse. This team could be a lot better than I think. This team could be a lot worse than I think. But as of right now, just looking at the schedule, looking at the players they got coming into the season, I think Tennessee is going to be around 10-7 this season. Let's go down to the Jacksonville Jaguars. It don't seem like it was too long ago when this team was playing the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. Like I'm talking about Leonard Fournette, Blake Bortles, I think Allen Robinson, Allen Hurns, Marquise Lee, Calais Campbell, Jalen Ramsey, Tevin Smith, Miles Jack. Like, AJ Boye. I mean, this team was so good just in such a short amount of time ago. And now it just seems like they're doing it all over again. Urban Meyer's experiment was an absolute travesty. It was horrible. It was terrible. Um, I think the biggest thing for Jacksonville this offseason was hiring Doug Peterson. You get a Super Bowl winning head coach. You get someone who just, with all due respect to Urban Meyer, you get an NFL caliber coach. Like, I don't know if this was true or not, but for Urban Meyer not to know who Aaron Donald was, for him to call him 99 and genuinely call him 99 because he didn't know his name, that's ridiculous. Ridiculous. We know what happened in Cincinnati and the whole bar club situation, whatever. Doug Peterson, I feel, is the right guy for the job. And this is genuine. This ain't me just talking. I think Doug Peterson is gonna turn it around down there. I do. They've had the number one overall pick the last 2 seasons, and I believe they got their franchise quarterback. And of course, I believe that they got 10 plus sacks coming for the next 5 to 7 years in Trayvon Walker. Not even because he's a Georgia boy, because I watched him in Georgia. I watched what he did at Georgia. And a lot of people say, well, he didn't do much at Georgia. You get put next to Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Devontae Wyatt. You get put next to those guys, Quay Walker, N'Kobe Dean. Like, you get put next to those guys and see what your stats look like. It was literally a race to the quarterback every play last year. And he wasn't just the primary edge rusher. He played inside, outside, over the center. Trayvon Walker played all over that Georgia defense. So now for him to come in as the number one overall pick and have the ability to solely focus on being an edge rusher, and he ain't got to do it all on his own. He got Josh Allen on the other side. Josh Allen is one of the best young pass rushers in the game. And he's not like Unique Ndakwe, who wanted to get out of Jacksonville. He seems to be content with playing in Jacksonville. You could have 10 plus sacks for the next 5 to 7 years in Jacksonville. Why not? Trevor Lawrence. Can Trevor Lawrence take that next step? We're not asking for the playoffs. We're not asking you. We just need to see a little glimpse of what we saw at Clemson. We didn't see enough of that last year. Could have been the coach, could have been the coordinator, could have been the play calling, could have just been the whole season as a whole. But Trevor Lawrence is his arm talent. We know is he can make every throw. But when you go from winning to straight losing in a matter of months, it could fuck with your psyche. It could fuck with your head. I think Trevor Lawrence is built a little different. I think he's going to bounce back. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to put on a show this season. I think he's going to show why he was the number one pick and show why he's just been at the top of everything he's done pretty much for his entire fucking life. I also think having Travis Etienne back is going to help him a lot. That was his guy at Clemson. All 3 years he was at Clemson, Travis Etienne was his guy. Out of the backfield, catching the ball. Travis Etienne could do a lot. He's one of those combo players who's probably going to get 50-50 snaps backfield and at receiver. And you can do that when you got James Robinson. This team got pieces. Let's not act. They got pieces. I think they're going to have a good year. I think just speaking on those 3 guys, they got something. I mean, James Robinson, there was a lot of conflict because of I don't really know why he wasn't playing as much as he should have been last year, but James Robinson, he has 1,000-yard capabilities. He does. Especially in a 17-game season. Excuse me. You go out, you sign Christian Kirk to the big contract, reset the receiver market. Use him. Draw up some plays that's going to get this guy some... Because he can make plays when the ball is in his hands. He made plays in Arizona. He made plays at Texas A&M. He can punt return. You paid him. Use him. You pair him with a possession receiver like Marvin Jones, someone who has a year under his belt with Trevor Lawrence. I think it's going to work. I do. I think Jacksonville has a lot of upside. I think they got a lot to look forward to. Don't expect too much too early. Just go out and play football. Compete. Compete, compete, compete. That's what y'all got to do. New head coach. Just go out and compete. Like, give those fans something to be excited about. You ruined the Colts season last year. Build on that. Build on it. Build on that and just keep moving forward. Just keep moving forward. You got a nice tight end in Dan Arnold. Like, you got pieces. You got pieces in Jacksonville. You just got to put them together. Again, not going to result in playoffs. Not going to result in none of that. But they're going to be better than they were last year. I can guarantee you that. My prediction for the Jacksonville Jaguars this upcoming season, I got them going 6-11. I said they were going to be better than last year. I didn't say how much better. Even with as good as I could see them being, they still got a long way to go. Still got a long way to go. Unless Trevor Lawrence just comes out and has like a, and this is no joke, has like a Joe Burrow type season in year 2, I see him going 6-11. We're going to transition to the last team in the division, the Indianapolis Colts. And this is tough for me because if you know me, you know I'm a Matt Ryan guy. I've been a Matt Ryan guy since probably his second year in the league. I wasn't high on Matt Ryan when we drafted him. Believe it or not, I wanted us to draft Glenn Dorsey in that draft. I was wrong. Matt Ryan moving to the Colts after 14 years in Atlanta with Frank Reich. Get this, and this is crazy to me. Last season under Arthur Smith was Matt Ryan's first season in the NFL with an offensive-minded head coach. Every other season he's played, Mike Smith was when he came in. Dan Quinn. After Dan Quinn, you go to Raheem Morris. After Raheem Morris, he doesn't get the job. This is I think Matt Ryan is gonna have one of the best seasons he's ever had. Period. Why do you say that? I think the Indianapolis Colts have the best offensive line in football. I think they have the best running back in football, who I drafted number 1 overall, by the way, in the fantasy league. But we ain't going to talk about that. I feel like they have one of, if not the best compliments to the best back in football in Nyheim Hines. And he has a receiver group of a bunch of guys where he can flourish. And I say that by saying this. Even when Matt Ryan had the Julio Jones, the Roddy Whites, the Tony Gonzalez, the Calvin Ridleys, even when he had all those guys, there was something that Matt Ryan was extremely good at. It is extremely good at that a lot of people don't talk about. Matt Ryan distributes the football all over the football field, no matter who's on the field. Matt Ryan gets everybody involved, and Matt Ryan has one of the top from like a who caught passes, you know what I mean? Like, throughout the season, Matt Ryan will fuck around and have 20 to 25. I think his MVP season, it was like 17 different players that caught a touchdown. I don't even know how that's possible. You only got 6, that's crazy. Matt Ryan can distribute the football, and with a receiver group that's not necessarily known, I mean, you got Michael Pittman, you got Ferris Campbell, who should come back and have a good season. You got the youngster who you drafted. I can't think of the college he came from, but I think it was Cincinnati. But you got the youngster who you just drafted. You got something at receiver. It ain't much, but you got something. But with that O-line, Jonathan Taylor, Nyheim Hines, and that tight end group, I think Matt Ryan's going to have one of the best seasons he's ever had. That's just me being honest with you. And just to flip it, I think the Colts are going to have one of the best defenses in the league. Like, they got it all. They got They got the front, they got the middle, they got the back end. That shit. That team is good. That second, Stephon Gilmore, Kenny Moore. You got Julian Blackman, Darius Leonard. I mean, they nice. Unique Ndakwe, DeForest Buckner. Good lord. I mean, I think the Colts so far out of the two divisions as we talked about, just like Colts are that team to me. Like, and I'm not just saying it because of Matt Ryan. I'm not just saying it because of Pat McAfee. Everybody know I love Pat McAfee, but like, Colts got a squad. They got a squad that can compete for a championship this year. Like, I could see it. I could see it. I mean, they got talent, and I think with the on the flip side, speaking on Jacksonville, I don't think they like how the season ended too much last year. I think they coming in with one hell of a chip on their shoulder, and they got so much to prove. And I feel bad for the people who win their way, because I feel like they coming through. They coming through fast. And in that division, where you got two teams who won't be competing for a playoff spot, I got the Colts finishing 12-5. I do. I got the Colts finishing 12-5. I mean, when you look at their schedule, look at who they play, when they play them, where they play them, this schedule favors the Indianapolis Colts, and I got them going 12-5. Out of the two divisions we've looked at so far, they are the number one seed. Don't shoot me, but hey, this was fun. This was fun. I thought this division was gonna be a little boring, but I did this one was fun. This was a lot more interesting than I thought. This one, as I can go ahead and break this one down. Colts 12-5, Titans 10-7. Will they make the wild card? We don't know until the end of the week. Jaguars 6-11. Houston Texans going 4-13. That's the AFC South, guys. I appreciate y'all for watching. If you haven't already, subscribe, like, comment, and share. We getting into it. We talking about it, and I'm having fun. I'm glad to be back, y'all. I'm glad to be back. I am Z. I'll see y'all later. Peace.